This is going to be the little chilling area slash kitchen slash lounge. This is the new podcast studio. We have the nice little corner sofas there. So the set's going to actually look like that. Fine. So that's how the new HQ's looking so far, ladies and gents. Johnny's just started his paint job. As you can see, we've gone with a black theme. He's going to have it done in the day, so we're going to go back up about probably 2 or 3 o'clock, do a little bit of filming, get a few updates for you all. Me and Josh are just going to do a solo cast, talk about the shit that we're doing at the moment, the stuff that people can do to improve themselves, improve their lives, their income and everything like that. So it should be an interesting watch for you all.
Fucking trap, and they wonder why it's hard being black. Dear Lord, can you feel me? Mama raised a hell raiser, stress getting major. Lord be my savior. Mama raised a hell raiser, stress getting major. Lord be my savior. Mama raised a hell raiser, stress getting major.
Washed out like a ginger fuck. Do you not think?
Like every pod.
Oh, you mate, fucking nasty streak you when you want it.
Let me just take a picture of this. This is probably his last pod in here, you know.
What? Think I'm getting a bit sizey?
Oh, shit, looking lean, bro.
Not lean, mate. Fucking do not say I'm lean, because that's not the word to use. Am I going to be too washed out there?
Nah.
You've got a tendency to make sure your shot's better than mine.
Do you want me to check? You want to check it?
No, because I've got the ginger genes, so it's just, I can't be washed out like this. Anyway.
Just trust the process.
I want to dig into this Dublin trip that we've got this idea for. I think me and you put a lot of sometimes unnecessary pressure on ourselves. We've only been doing the podcast. I'm going to try and dissect this properly, like long form. We've only been doing the podcast, what, 3-4 months?
4 months.
So I think our expectation is always, I know me personally, is always I try and probably strangle it a little bit too much. And where we want to go with it, the initial growth was massive. Not that we're not growing now, it's still ticking over, but I think like any business, you've got to keep creative, you've got to keep on top of the pulse and see what's working and keep innovating and grow the channel like that. So we broke it down, didn't we? To keep it simple, that we're going to go guest a week, solo cast a week, where we can sort of just dissect his thoughts and ideas, but try and just get out a bit and move around. So tell everyone, where did this, I think it started with seeing Conor Turney fight on give me the name of the organisation, Kingpin Promotion. So just dissect that. What's his idea with this? What's his plan? So I understand.
Well, I've always wanted to go to it because obviously we've had Amber on. She got beat first round. She's fighting again this second round. There's fucking Elbrook there, her sister. Conor Turney's just put the icing on the cake by getting matched against Cian Cowley, is it? Conor McGregor's teammate, that. Yeah. So the fact it's in Dublin's a little bit of a kick in the face, but
I've never been to Dublin,
mate. But Dublin's sick,
yeah,
and flights there are like 40 quid. Not sure about hotels, but I've messaged Amber, and I said, "Have you got anybody in Kingpin's number that I can give a ring? Just got some questions." She's like, "What's it about?" So basically, we want to just make sure if we're coming over to see if we can do any filming there, if we can get a bit of backstage stuff. And she said, "Well, if you want, you can come and be my media team, do some filming for me for social media, and then I'll get you the backstage passes, I'll get you the ringside seats, I'll get you media days for the open training, weigh-ins, conference."
Oh, shout out Amber O'Donnell.
Yeah, man, and she just literally confirmed this morning, saying
Very nice.
all sorted, all booked in. So we've got to book the flights today, I think.
So we'll book the flights today, so the logistics we can sort out. We've invited Danny Christie to come.
Is he going to come?
I think Danny seems keen, so I'm going to just I'll message him tonight, but that aside, are you going out there to make a name for yourself? Are you going out there to upset the apple cart a little bit?
Yeah.
Play the entertainment game. Let's be honest, boys. It's an entertainment game, so we need to go out there with a plan, not cause too much drama, but just maybe get involved a little bit would be the goal. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, because we said this for the Misfits one, but then we went down there, we enjoyed it a bit. We kind of became a bit of a spectator, didn't we, really? And I had a chance to fucking call Salt Pappy out. I walked past him, I brushed shoulders with him at one point, and I could have really said, fucking, let's have it. And he might have gone, well, yeah, maybe, like, but I could have really put it in his toes, and I could have got someone filming it and maybe caused a bit of a ruckus, which I think it takes a bit of balls, to be honest, because you don't want to be a cunt. You don't want to piss people off as in like media team and that there, but you want to just do enough to try and get a bite out of somebody. Obviously, it's showing now that if Cian Cowley and
Tierney.
Connor Tierney are getting matched on it, they are looking for fucking fighters and bare knuckle, mate, as well. So I think we ain't got a game plan yet, but I think we should definitely put together a game plan where we can rustle some feathers there. There's people like King Kenny, who's probably a bit of a biter. We could probably get under Elle and Emily Brooks' skin and try and get... Obviously, I'm not going to fight any of them because they'll absolutely kick me ass.
Now, I think we want them on side. We bring her up a fair bit on the podcast, but I think she's got to be respected and edified
100%.
what she's done. So if we can get on her side, I wonder if big Fred Beck, is that what he's called? I wonder if he'll be there. I wonder if it's worth maybe chucking him a message and maybe say, listen, can you do...
Fred's your boy, so
Fred's my boy.
You've got to be doing that, bro. Anytime I message him, he's done an op in it.
Yeah, Fred's my mate. Mate, he reaches out to me all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you haven't capitalised on it enough, but they'll already be sat right there now.
No. And he actually jumped on a podcast. I'm a little bit ashamed of myself, but anyway, I think it's just a bit of a trek up here, up north, and it sometimes for people.
Yeah. So I think game plan wise, if we can go on the Wednesday, I'm not asked about the open workout. That's the first thing. If we can get the weigh-ins, the press conference, that's when it's going to get a bit tasty. If we can get backstage, mate, we're just going to have to target. We're going to have to get names down for who we're going to be able to get into. And I think Christy will be the man to give me right, go over and say, some ideas on how to rustle feathers, because he's the man at getting in the mind, I feel like. Yeah. Kingpin boxed off. Let's 100% put them flights today, because we procrastinated on that a bit.
Yeah. It's a must to grow the channel. I think we said yesterday we had a real good meeting. You've been doing a great job. I'll say this because I've been fucking... It's hard for me to juggle. Not saying your OnlyFans business isn't hard, but it's hard. It's been difficult for me to juggle client services, which is very much dependent on my time, and it needs me. It needs a fair bit of computing power as well. So I respect and I'm appreciative of getting this office off the ground. We'll share some little clips of what Ellis has filmed today. I don't think we're far away, boys. So we're going to be. I think this has been a great little set and a base to get it started. I'm proud of what we've done here, but on to pastures new, bigger office. I think there's going to be more opportunity there. We're going to be in a town centre of Ponty, which it's not Manchester and it's not Leeds, but it's got stuff to offer, and I think we can grow into that space. And I think what Carl is trying to achieve and develop in building that sports bar out, I can see it being reciprocal in both ways. So I'm buzzing for that. We had a meeting on Friday before I went to Saltburn-on-Sea with Ryan Moore, and that got me gears ticking. But I think we've got to take that advice. This is not a critique on anyone, but when we've decided to build this podcast and build this fully game brand, we've done it very much so by being willing to put ourselves out there in making content. And I advise anyone to try and put themselves out there. If you can build a personal brand, you'll be surprised of what can happen if you can consistently do it and you get good at it. You've got to be good at it, obviously, and you've got to have something worth saying. But in terms of that business front there, I think we want to leverage what Ryan said, not to bore the viewers to death, but I think we've got to be the brand, and we've got to just simply put more content out there, more quality content, and get round other people. We're willing to do vlogs. We enjoy podcasts. It's just a case of getting back and documenting the stuff, and I think we can go from there. You've really set the pace for me, and you've motivated me. You've packaged this OnlyFans agency up. You've put your modules out there, and there's people already going through the material, and you can see there's probably some sort of signal there. So I don't really know where I'm going with that, but it's just my point being, it's when you've got a vision in mind or a business idea in mind, you want to listen and counsel with people, but only you truly know of where you're going to head. So take the advice, but also be careful not that don't deviate you off track. That's happened to me many times in business, where you get something grooving and moving, which is the hardest part for any business. Like I always say, this getting it off the runway and getting some momentum, some traction, and that's what we did with the pod. But don't forget what got you there. You can sometimes I see it in business, I see it in life a lot. It's almost like shiny object syndrome. It's like, well, no, that's what I've got to do now. But then you forget what actually got you to where you are now. So I think that's a valid point for people to listen to, is take on advice and get round friends who are clearly building and growing their businesses and their empires, but just try and understand where you sit in that equation. And for us, it's putting content out there, isn't it? It's putting a face to what we're doing, and from that, I think we'll grow it out. So we've just got to get out of his comfort zone a little bit. And I think that Dublin trip will be massive for us to get out there and see that and try and. I think we can make entertaining videos as well. I think if we get confident in that vlog and because some of it's parody, some of it's entertainment, we've got to probably learn that game a little bit, and I think that'll just come from filming ourselves and just fucking getting it out there and seeing what happens.
Well, watching them vlogs last night, Mike Majlak, is it Majlak? And,
I think he's one of the Sugar's a lie, because I think they definitely elevate the characters, but that's just them having fucking fun and messing around. Whereas Mike,
there's some brains behind Mike.
There's some brains behind Mike,
big time.
But
it inspired me though, and it's obviously the more you do vlogs, the better you get. We're not doing them often enough to keep improving. We need to be doing them weekly and shit like that. So firstly, I got the idea last night when we were watching it, maybe we need to plan the vlogs rather than just rocking up and being like, oh, what should we go and talk to this person about? We should put a strategic plan together. So target, let's say for ours, target a fighter who we could probably get under the skin. Think how we can approach him for an interview. Think of things that we can chuck in there to try and raise the blood pressure, then put it on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Secondly, we have got some exciting shit coming up. I want to go over and meet Matt Holmes in Ibiza. He just landed. We've got his podcast coming out this week. He's up for doing it. We've also got my boy Ash Holmes out there, so we could kill two birds with one stone in Ibiza and maybe even do a little fucking ocean beach vlog and just get absolutely crazy. So if any videographers out there want a free trip to Ibiza, hit us up and you can come along for that. Then,
slow it down a little bit. How do I fare in Ibiza?
Let me be honest. I feel like you need to just wind it down a little before, because, bro, the first time I went to Ibiza, I fucking rocked up, lost all my shit within the first hour, fucking popping pills and doing mad shit. Just your head can just go in. As soon as you walk out of that airport door and you turn around, you see the Ibiza sign on the airport front door, and you just see palm trees, and you can already hear music and people fucking laughing and getting on it, mate. You're just like, where the fuck is the Coronas at? Who the fuck's the closest drug dealer? That's just how it is. And I've done that pretty much every single time.
So you're looking for beat dealers pretty much getting out of the airport?
Well, usually I've organised it for taxi journey, but this time I feel like if we actually went over there to be creative and toned it down a little bit and didn't just want to get absolutely crazy and not end up filming shit, if we went there with a bit of a plan again and just stayed merry, didn't go too hard, and then once you've got what you need for the day, then maybe go out that night. But also you can be rough for 2-3 days there. So
that's not an option for me at the minute. I'm on like I feel like I'm on a tightrope at the minute.
In what way?
I want to get some real positive traction. And not that I'm not getting positive traction. I need to be very much laser focused on all areas. Mm-hmm. So I've known this for a while that I want to get that morning routine dialed in. I know this sounds boring, and I know I want to get the evening routine dialed in. Probably what's lacking for me at the minute. I ain't really got a shut off time. And then I feel like I'm just playing catch up the next day. So I want to prove to myself that we can go out there, have fun, and it don't have to be at the expense of me just fully sending it and just getting fucked up.
That's it. I feel like I've got enough experience roundabout now, because even last year I did it. But last year, bro, I went on holiday with everyone, Jacob, and everyone. I said, right, boys, this time I'm going to plan the trip, get an itinerary. We're going to do this and this day. As soon as we got there, mate, the itinerary got chucked in the fucking bin. We got straight on it, and then it was just that for the full week.
Fuck's sake.
That's it. So we're not doing that. We just need to go for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
If we can stay around people like Matt, I don't feel like he said in his podcast, he doesn't really lose his shit. He kind of tones it down a bit. There is ways to do it. It's just keeping that fucking mental, knowing that it's business. Because if you just go there to do something and don't accomplish that mission, you've just wasted time, effort, health, everything.
Energy,
100%. So yeah, I think if you can do that and not pull the pin, we'll be decent.
How many days are we expecting to do that over?
I say 3 or 4. Any longer than that's too long.
Yeah, 3 days.
And this is one thing I would take in the women on that.
I'd like to take Amy, mate. I won't lie to you.
Bro, I'm sweet.
I want to involve my missus on all fronts. So, if possible, 3 days. This is how sad I'm getting. I miss my dog and all when I'm away for a little bit. That is getting old, isn't it?
That's gay.
Gay.
Gay, that. Mate.
Gay.
Why don't you take it in little handbag through airport?
I fucking would if I could, mate. But I don't know. I felt guilty that I didn't take him to Saltburn, and then I'm just like, what have I not brought my dog for?
Yeah, you should have definitely took it to Saltburn.
Yeah. But I think 3 days is enough. We don't need to be stretching to 4. 4's too many days.
100%. I also want to do an Amsterdam trip as well,
I feel those trips are easy. And I think with them, you've just got to be quite smart and strategic with the Sky Scanner, finding the cheapest flights, booking the flights, and just sorting the accommodation on the back end.
Yeah.
As long as you stay in their damn square and you know, if we're doing a bit of a smoke trip, which no doubt we will there, you just need to. I need to personally know that there's an evac option, and I can get out of there fairly quick and get potted down if I need to in a hotel. That's always my first priority in them smoke shops.
Is it the smoke or is it the mushrooms?
I've never took mushrooms when I'm in Amsterdam. I don't know if it's the weed out there or just the intensity, the atmosphere of everyone being around you and what's going on. Because it's quite a busy city as Amsterdam. I think people forget this. So there's a lot of tourists there, obviously, and smoking it. Every time I've smoked it there, there's been some form of panic attack in some fashion. So I just need to probably control that a little bit. I get greedy on menus. So if you've not been to Amsterdam before, you go in, and if you're a regular smoker, it's a bit like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, that you've got your access to everything you can think of there, and you go into these coffee shops and there's seasoned smokers there. There's a menu board. You should be staying away from all those Cali strains. For someone like me who's a novice smoker, just stick to the regular stuff and try and get on an even kill. But I think there's more to do in Amsterdam. I've got to learn with the weed to go and do stuff once I'm stoned, not just sit there and be in my own head. I've got a tendency to do that, me. So just, I think, have a smoke, get on a level, and then go and go do some mad shit and see some stuff in Amsterdam.
You know, a good shout would be as well going midweek, rather than a fucking hot weekend when it's absolutely rammed. Because definitely the atmosphere fucks me up. I went on my own, did I? We're at December, January time, mate, and fucking hell, I took my book.
I just imagine you there, sorry to interrupt, I just imagine you with your journal in these little smoke shops thinking, right, I'm going to really map out my life, and I reckon you've had first little... paranoia, just hello darkness, my old friend.
100%, bro, and it were absolutely fucking rammed. They were queuing at dawn. I were already getting a bit anxious. I just there with my little book.
We're in Bulldog?
Yeah, I think it was in the Bulldog.
There's better smoke shops.
No, I know. I should have gone somewhere a bit quieter, but I had my book that I'd not even started reading yet, so I'm going to look like a weirdo if I'm reading first page in a smoke shop.
I bet they thought, look at this fucking animal with his page one of his personal development book.
They would have thought that, so instead I just didn't read it, mate. I fucking sat there with it on the table thinking, everyone here's with a missus and fucking family and boys, and everyone's having a good time. I'm sat here just like looking like a peeping Tom or a police officer, and I thought, right, I'll have a read it, but then I opened one page and I looked, and I just couldn't stop looking around thinking people are going to be looking at me here, so I just put it away, got up, walked off, and then just walked around for about an hour, just paranoid, just fucking trying not to bump into people and shit. Bad move, really. I don't know why the fuck I went on my own.
No, let's get out. We've just got to set the game plan and then go execute the game plan. Don't overthink this thing. Mm-hmm. If we're reverting back to that sort of system that we've got of the interview style, solo cast, vlog, be religious with that. And even midweek with the vlogs, we've just got to get creative with like float tanks and training and just documenting stuff like that we're actually into. And I think it'll make us a bit more accountable to doing those tasks religiously. And from that, we're going to improve, and fingers crossed people can follow along and they do their shit as well. That's probably the goal for it.
Yeah. I want to do something exciting this week. I want to do something. I want to vlog it. What do you think is a good vlog idea for this week? I'm thinking the float tank, obviously I haven't done it. We talk about it all the time. I wouldn't mind doing it.
Yeah.
But if we can think of something else that we can, you know, go and have a laugh and entertain people to do this week at some point.
I'll have a think.
I'd be game for it.
I can do that Wednesday. I can do that Friday.
Back to the agency stuff, because obviously we had that sit down with Ryan. Fair, like what you said, fair enough what you were saying with the podcast. It's a little bit in front of where we're trying to be at the moment. I feel like you said, we need to build us content, build us followers and stuff like that before we start worrying about monetizing and shit. But it did help me massively with the agency.
Yeah.
With stuff, it gave me a kick up the arse to get them videos done, which I ended up doing. And I knew how to get to this point of having the website sorted with the videos and stuff, but then I'm like, how am I going to promote it apart from putting it on my Instagram and paying ads or whatever? And then he's giving me, obviously, more information about the email lists and scraping emails and stuff like that. So I feel like that's the next bit of information that I really needed. As he sent you the ISA, the investment ISA.
Yeah, but again, it's completely over my head, all that stuff. He showed me some sort of calculation. And
yeah, he sent me that, and listen, I'm a fucker for just diving into stuff without having a clue what I'm doing. And I don't feel like it's one of them high-risk Bitcoin things. It's like a long to medium term investment in it. But he's putting £1,800.
I'm not that good with money, right? And I'm not going to try and sit here and say I'm some sort of like I'm probably poor with it, if anything. But I still believe that the money you're making, if there's anything left over, obviously you want to be thinking of the future. I had a good chat with Aaron Blakey about this yesterday. So when you start making money and there might be a little bit of left over each month, remember, I'm coming from a position where I never had anything left over. I were a paycheck to paycheck person, and I probably only just overcome that. It's probably like, I don't know how many years it might have been where if you're smart with it, there's stuff left over at the end. But for what we're doing, anything left over at the end should be put back into the business and to grow the brand with ads, better guests, travel. And in our head, just grow that beast into such a cash cow that it takes care of itself, and it's better than any 10% ISA because you've built a proper solid brand behind it. So I think a lot of people can, I know I have, you start thinking about investing, and when you don't know enough about investing, I've wasted a lot of money doing that. I know an ISA will be safe, but it's just, not that I'm not thinking of the future, because obviously you want to think of the future.
But you're not worried about it.
I'm not worried about the future. I'm more thinking, I want to be focused on income, and I want to be focused on, right, if I've got anything left over, how do I grow my brand? And from that, because we're very frugal with that, let's be honest, if there's anything left over, then we're not putting it back into the pot. And we should be putting it back into the pot to grow the pod, to grow your brand, to grow my brand. And from that, then there'll be more opportunity and more networking opportunities. That needs to be the key first for me. Yeah. If there is anything left over, then it's getting put back in to feed the beast.
Totally agree. We're starting to invest it a little bit more now. Obviously, we're putting money into this new HQ, which will definitely be worth it in the long run. And it's looking really good. We will pop some videos up on screen. He'll have that done today. We are looking for a flooring guy to do that, but I think we'll be able to box that off pretty easily today. Maybe Mark Tiffin.
What are you putting down there? What are you thinking, carpet?
I'm thinking carpet, but maybe a little bit of like flooring down just to walk on when you come in, maybe.
Yep.
But I'm not sure what colour carpet would go with all black.
I'd stick with black, maybe, but...
Just all black?
Yeah.
Fucking, ooh.
Do you not think?
No, I like that.
Yeah, black walls, black. That. Just keep it black.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about BKFC for a bit.
BKFC?
Let's see what's going on there, because obviously the fight news is out that his boy Luke Kelly's no longer fighting.
No.
Deemed medically unfit. So I don't know if they've found an opponent yet for Paul Cook, but obviously Rico's still fighting, Blakey, Starkey. What else we got on there?
Trying to think who's on the bill there. Do I know? Lewis Keane's on there. I know he's main. We're definitely not going.
I don't think it's a good idea.
You think just sit and pod at
if
mine?
Luke would have been fighting 100%, I think if we can sit at yours and watch it chilled, I think that's going to be better. Like, I'm all for fucking driving to Newcastle and doing that, but we're friends with Rico, we're friends with Blakey, like, but are we going to be backstage doing stuff?
Yeah, they give you media passes there, but it's fairly restricted what you can do at BKFC, and it's they're a bit more of a polished organisation, so they're respectfully they're fairly strict with who can come in and out, and I just don't really know what we're going to be able to create. You're not allowed to really film or meant to film the fighting, so I think for us, if we can just sit, relax, watch the fighting as a fan on the TV, you're going to get a better view anyway, and you're going to see it all unfold like that. And
listen, I'm not going to badmouth them, but when we're going there and filming fucking documentaries, build-ups to fights, little commentating bits, and then not even getting a reply to try and get a ringside fucking band so you can film some bits, mate. It's a bit shit, innit? So
you got to force it a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah, you got to think about yourself as well, time and effort. But
yeah,
move.
I agree. I think Rico's going to get the job done, and I like to think Blakey will as well. He's coming down in weight. I spoke to him a little bit yesterday. He just seems real relaxed. I think he's doing a fairly... I'm not sure he'll mind me sharing this. A decent water cut. He's doing that water load, and you know more about that than me. But let's see. You're going to find out Saturday night, and we go from there. I was quite interested with Rico's podcast. I went through it last night and edited it. It's motivating that he overcome that illness more than anything. Obviously, he's got a bulletproof mindset, but the ability there to overcome illness and how quickly he's bounced back with what, anyone who's had any digestive problems, you severely compromised when there's something wrong with your gut. In all areas of your life, whether that be sleep, energy, and probably just pain.
Do you know what's the craziest thing I thought when I edited my part? The part where he says, I'd be fucking warming up for a fight and I'd be nipping off multiple times to shit blood. And then Danny Mitchell will say, listen, we don't have to do the fight if you don't want. He's like, no, we're still doing it. Worst that's going to happen is I'm going to shit more blood in the ring. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I've got a bit of a fucking migraine, I talk myself out of the fight.
Yeah.
And even when he said before his Jimmy Sweeney fight, he didn't sleep all night.
It's mad, that, isn't it?
It's crazy, mate.
Strong mindset to be like that. Strong mindset.
Some people are just built different.
But I think that then you can see it with how he explores his training and his training schedule, how militant he is. There seems to be no stopping him, so I just hope he gets the job done at the weekend.
It will. It'll be good. Bro, have you heard any conspiracy theories for this submarine thing? Apart from the one that Amy brought up.
I don't think there's a conspiracy theory with that, but it's just shown how... Let me give some context to this. Obviously, what's happened is there's no positive in that. You know, people have lost their lives. Yeah. That's the story there. But those people, when you, it's just how people can get latched on and solely focused on something. It shows how your attention can go from just focused on something that's... I'm not saying it's trivial, because it's not, but that it's how the mainstream media can get everyone talking about the same thing. And the fact of the matter there is, I'm going to surmise, when they heard that noise, that imploded pretty much straight away, didn't it? Yeah. I actually watched a vlog yesterday, and I'll share it on the video here, that a guy who vlogged it, who was meant to be on, that was mission 5, and I believed he was on mission 3 or 4. And for whatever reason, it was the same craft, but he never launched it due to bad weather conditions. And it's on YouTube at the minute, and he's showing you all inside this submarine and just how he's doing it, and that. There were so many problems with it. Like twice, once it got stopped for weather, so they didn't dive. Then he was going to do a test dive, and they asked for people who asked to be part of it to go down. I think this was going down to 3,000, is it meters? And I think the record at 4,000 meters. And that just didn't happen. They got in it, locked him in. And then for some reason, there were just some mechanical error, and they just didn't end up diving. It just shows that, I shouldn't be laughing there, but something seems suspect with that, and I think they knew what had happened pretty much straight away when they had that noise. And you showed me the implosion of Summit's pressure, totally like different to that.
Literally one atmospheric pressure, and then they were on 375.
Yeah, so
it had done a long time ago and way worse than what it just fucking crushed to bits. But also, some of the TikToks are funny that I see. Like,
why? What are the conspiracy theories that you're hearing?
I hadn't really seen any conspiracy theories, but I saw a video on Twitter of a guy saying, whilst you were all distracted by the submarine video, America have just licensed artificial sale of artificial meats. So they use chicken like cells to grow their own chickens in a fucking lab. So it's some crazy shit going on. But also it's crazy how 4 or 5 people die on a submarine and it's fucking all of it news for a week. But then there's...
Well, you know, there were a Russian coup going on as well. No one talks about this.
A Russian what?
Coup.
What's that?
Well, to me, a coup would be the military's trying to take over the country.
All right.
That we're doing. No one knew about that.
No.
Interest rates gone up. No one's talking about that. But a fucking submarine getting lost on Titanic. Let's get behind this story.
And don't forget, I worked on a fucking submarine as well. But we used to go. I think the max depth I went to was 270 or 280 meters, and even then you were shitting yourself.
Oh yeah.
Because the weight of the water above you. Let's say if this was we were in a compartment now, and we tied a piece of string to that wall and a piece of string to that wall, and did it solidly tight. The deeper you go down, the more it compresses. That string starts to bow. So they do that when you're at like 280, mate. That string will just be loose, so you can see how much it's compressed a fucking steel submarine in.
It's not for me.
No, it's a crazy lifestyle to live. But
what do you think motivates these adventurers? So for people, Steve Hunt, who's a close friend of mine, is a decent adventurer. He's learning to be a pilot at the minute. I've probably been very much risk averse in my life. I'm a bit of a wimp when it comes to putting myself in danger. I don't really see the point of it. I want to live really. So, what do you think? Is it just adrenaline that people are driven to with this? Who do these base jumping, anything that you can think of? These deep water diving. Is it to say that you've been a part? I don't get the draw of wanting to go see the Titanic anyway, mate. I see it as something that it's ultimately a graveyard now as well, and people are forgetting that. So to go see that, what are they actually going to see at that depth? Are they seeing much of the wreckage? I always trying to think of the mindset of what is the appeal to the people there.
They'll see the wreckage, but it'll just be absolutely fucking rusty and covered in seaweed, and there'll probably not be any animals around there because obviously how deep it is. It'll be dark as fuck. I do not see what it is, the appeal of it. I think these guys who went down on there have just got that much money. They've fucking got unless they're going to Mars, what else am I going to spend it on? But to the normal average people who are into base jumping, bungee jumping, fucking jumping out of planes and shit, I honestly can't put my finger on it, mate. I think these guys are just adrenaline junkies. I'd never base jump, just jump off a building with nothing. I'd jump out of a plane if someone were on the back of me and they did all shit. I'd trust that. Apart from that, mate, bungee jumping and all that shit, I'm same as you. I'm risk free. Like,
yeah, I've always been like that. Even when we were younger and we're like in park, I just like thinking back there. It's when people were doing like knock-a-door run or a little bit more mischievous stuff.
Yeah.
I were always like one who stood back and were like, "Fucking get the fuck out of Dodge, right? See you."
Yeah, no climbing trees, not like that.
Well, I did stuff like that, but just hope that I could very much see that there's a danger here. Just let me just stay clear of that. I could sense it. And I'm even like that on a night out. I've spoke to Holmesy about this. It's like I'm always on, it's not a good way to live. I'm always on sort of high alert, me. And it's not a good way to live. I were watching a TPD TV yesterday, of the festivals, and they went to Park Life.
Yeah.
And just saying there that everyone there, no one's going to like, usually, there'll be some trouble and some fighting, but 99.9% of the population aren't even thinking about fighting or contemplating what happens if it does. Whereas I don't know if it's just me or other people. I'm always really heightened to it. I always think it's going to happen.
I am.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know if it's because when we were younger, the trouble we used to get into. You're almost used to that, and secondary to that, I'm expecting it. So it puts your experience at, you're ruining your experience because you think, fucking hell. And that's usually when you drink too much then to try and I'm feeling like this. Let me try and get on a level where I don't feel like this, whether it be through drink or drugs. And then everyone says that I'm on a level, but you should be able to be on a level. I've still not learned this. I want to be able to be on a level just being around my friends' music, the actual experience that's in front of me now, but I've never been able to master that one.
I think that's also the atmosphere as well. I've been to Creamfields before, and we've been in the middle of a tent, but you can see that people are like, oh, and everyone's happy because they're all on whatever. And sometimes if you lock eyes with someone, like, oh yeah, nice one, mate. Away from like sound. If you're in that sort of environment, everyone around you's like that, it's cool. But sometimes, like, I know we watched a bit of that yesterday. I can't really remember what vibe everyone was on, but you see some people jacked up and fucking bopping like that. If I was in that environment and those people stood fucking, even if they were a couple of 50 metres away and I could see him sort of looking my direction, but I'd be like, he's fucking looking over him and watching.
That's weird,
but I think it's probably, like
my first experience, I've talked about it on here before, but my first experience of any sort of festival just didn't end well for me.
You didn't even get in, did you?
Didn't even get in.
Tried climbing over and didn't get in again. Yeah, that's not a good experience. Bro, we should 100% do a festival this year.
Well, it's Glastonbury now, and I've been watching a little bit of that, and that seems to be the pinnacle, probably for over here, doesn't it? That the best sort of festival. They've been getting a bit of flack. I watched Arctic Monkeys. I'm a big fan of them, but they've headlined this year, and I've been seeing a bit of negative online. But you just don't know.
Saying the shit.
I think it's hard to call Arctic Monkeys shit, but I wonder after. I'm probably speaking out of context here. I'm just trying to think about it in my head. But I wonder if you've sang the same songs for that long, if you do get a little bit bored of it, and then try and put a different spin on it, and that just doesn't always go down with the crowd, because I'm guessing. When Arctic Monkeys are headlining, you don't really want to hear much of the new stuff if you're not into the new stuff. You want to hear the fucking Mardy Bums and the songs that everybody knows and wants to listen to. I watched a little bit of Central C and Dave. They came out together, and he seems to be top of the pillar at the minute of Central C.
I don't know what he's doing right. I just know he dresses right. He looks good.
What do you mean he dresses right, man? His fucking kegs were halfway out.
But what other artists are dressing like that?
Yeah.
Apart from Americans, because he spent so much time in America, I think he's picked their vibe up, and all Americans love him as well. So he's absolutely boosted it, and he's a good-looking kid as well. I
think that got him started, innit? The how can I be homophobic? A bit that one line, everyone remembers him for that, and then they've obviously brought out new. Yeah. So I've always been a big fan of Dave, mate. Do you remember the day? I don't know if it was Glastonbury at Dave.
It was last year,
where we got that geezer up to sing his song.
I watched that recently, mate. I don't know if that was planned.
Come on, mate. What?
Do you think?
Yeah.
But he's making out as if he just picks in front crowd because he can see him doing every word, which I can see why that would happen.
Yeah.
But the kid was just too fucking... It looked like he'd been practicing for a little while.
Been practicing, and maybe it just manifested in that way, but for me, when I watched that, I'm like... I think that might have been a little bit scripted.
And he actually, I think he got signed after, but I've not seen anything of him after that. Did you see Lewis Capaldi, everybody finishing his songs off again?
It's sad to see that. I said this to you yesterday, didn't I? It's like, how long, if he's not going to take care of his... It'd be hard for any artist to say no to Glastonbury because the notoriety that comes from that, and it's such probably a big privilege for those people, and they've wanted to do that for so long, but when he can't even sing his songs at the minute, it's... You have to feel for the man because you need to get yourself right, don't you? If you're a singer and performer, then the minimum requirement would be to be able to sing your songs. And it just seems that he seems a little bit overweight. It seems to be, it's almost like he's got, what would you call it? Is it a tic or is it spasms?
He's got Tourette's.
Tourette's.
He's got Tourette's, bro. He's formed it, I think, just from fucking... Have you watched his documentary?
Yeah.
His documentary's good, and I think he just formed it over time with stress and shit, but as bad as it sounds, I feel like because of who he's signed under and shit like that, I feel like I ain't got a choice. I feel like, I can't really do it, but like, you're fucking doing it, man.
Yeah.
We're getting fucking
Get out there and do it.
250k, you're doing that. And it's good that the crowd can finish his songs for him, like 250,000 people. It were a bit like, I'm not going to say I got teared, but like, or a bit like, that's fucking, it's good that they can sing. Because I felt sorry for him, he just sat there like just looking as if, like, you could tell he was proper grateful that everyone was just singing his song for him. Saved his fucking ass. But he does need to kind of sort that out because, like you say, how long are they going to soon be like, right, I'm not fucking finishing your song off for you again. Either get off the stage and start your Tourette's
I don't know if it's even curable. I don't know if it's...
I think he's probably under some sort of training to try and slow it down and shit, but I don't think it's curable.
Singing sad songs all the time, mate, that don't fucking help, man. It's a bit morbid, isn't it?
Yeah.
I might write into, my music sense. Now I'm fucking very much into like older stuff. They'll never make music like that again now. And I like newer stuff. Like I can get into Dave and Central C, but I wouldn't even really know who's the artists that are popping at the minute. Other than the headline acts at Glastonbury, I know like the bands, the Arctic Monkeys. I was saying to you yesterday when I was watching that, what thing was that? I forgot what it called, where they went. Parklife, they had 1975 there, and these seem to be bands that are doing, I'm surmising these are good live bands, so you get an experience when you watch them live. I've never been, the only ever gig I've been to is when I saw you, when I went to watch Drake at thing. I just never really go watch live music at all, so. Yeah,
me neither.
I'd like to see Dave. Dave is one that I'd like to go see live and see how he performs.
I mean... I'm not a massive fan of Dave. I can see why people like him. He's good with his words and shit. Yeah. Probably entertaining to watch, but I'm not really been one to listen. But if we're going to do a festival this year, I think we should probably do Creamfields.
I just don't think that's my bag at all.
It is, bro. Because there is some fucking dirty bass and shit there, but there's some good artists go there as well. I can't remember who
I thought Creamfields were predominantly dance music.
There is a lot of dance music. There's all different tents though, and there's different vibes in each one. There's fucking acoustic places and shit there. And then on the main stage, I can't remember who it was when I went to last one. But it was fucking insane, mate. And it's just, especially if we get some better tents than just going and putting your own tent up, you can actually get ones that are ready built.
And shit.
And it's cheaper than the Leeds Fest ones that we were looking at. And it's red hot.
So when's Creamfields in the year?
I think it's back end of August time.
We're thinking this year after?
I think this year, mate. I think we should just do it. Go. Should just definitely do that.
I'd met one in. That's good content, isn't it?
And we could even try and get that fucking TPD TV or whatever they're called to try and do some sort of link up, because I bet they'd be going to it.
Yeah. They're doing back-to-back weekends. Their schedule must be crazy. And they've built a really good channel there, them boys. Just seem normal boys. Just seem to film it on the phone and have built a real good traction up from showing like the authentic side of a festival, which is the key.
Is it on the phone though?
I think most of it's filmed on the phone, mate. Yeah,
they must all take it in turns filming then.
Well, I think what they've done is they've galvanised the group over time. So they've had group members come in and out all the time. And then I think what's probably happened there, they've got boys who they trust who can even. I think he's always edited as Rob, the main man. But they've got people who can just capture the weekend, and then he'll probably just digest all the content into they'll probably put it on drop, whatever it might be, all the information's there, and he just forms a story out of that, but he always seems to tell it the right way. Because you want to see an authentic side to it, you know what I'm saying? How good's the food? Is it overcrowded? Security, all these things that I think about in my head. Like how far you got to walk to where your digs are. Are the digs nice? Is the showers there?
He really breaks it down, doesn't he?
He breaks it down so I can sort of fathom, is that something I'd want to do?
Have we figured out whether they're taking anything yet, do you reckon?
I don't think they do, but fuck me, I don't know. We probably just speak from a position that's we've done it, therefore everyone else must be doing it. I just don't think that's the case sometimes, mate.
One of their guys had a bit of a swinging jaw last
You
night.
think?
Yeah, for sure. They'll probably tone it down a bit. They might even just stop filming on.
It's like, listen, boys, I'm fucking tired. Just give me one boost. I'll give myself one boost AM and one boost PM, and that's it. But just make sure it's a heaper. Do you know what I mean?
And do not kezzle me.
Do not kezzle me. Fuck you.
No, let's definitely put one in for
One more funny. So Danny, who I've also tried to get on the podcast. He there were a real funny scene in, I think it was at Download Festival, where some boys had obviously these are quite well-known lads and they're always trying to infiltrate him probably with drugs, drink and whatever. Like, I'm not saying these boys aren't hardcore, but like they celebrate when they're smoking a fucking cig or smoking a vape. Like, fuck me, like it's we've not, the word's not superior, but we're far more seasoned in use of enhancing drugs at parties and festivals. But someone gave Danny a vape and said, listen, it's just a nicotine vape, trust me. Took a big little puff on it, obviously it was THC, and it fucked him up, and he's like just documenting his way back to, to campsite.
No way.
Yeah, and he's just like in a bad pickle. Stuff like that's funny to see. I know you shouldn't say that, but it is good for content. That's why he's probably put it on there, because never trust someone with a vapor you don't know.
No.
I ain't doing that.
I did a similar thing at Pikes in Ibiza, and we'd gone there. I think I might have dropped a pill.
I might have fucking out.
Allegedly, I could have done that.
Allegedly.
And we were outside its smoking area, and bear in mind, Pikes is the villa that Freddie Mercury used to always go in summer, and they used to do some fucking gay orgies and sniff coke off bar and all that sort of shit. So it's quite a place. But there's also families there drinking wine and doing shit and just chilling in gardens whilst everyone else is around them's off the nut. And there was this American kid smoking a vape, and I could smell it. And he started talking to me, and I'm like, "Oh, gives a bit." And he went, "Oh, it's strong." So I got one on me, and I was like, thought I'll just have a big toke just to fucking show him where the boy is. So I and he's there looking at me, his eyes were getting wide. I blew a big cloud of smoke, and he was like, "That was a fucking big hit, man." And then as I went to grab it back, I went, did another one, same size.
Oh no.
Gave him it back. We sat there talking to him for a bit. Somebody came over and like, "Come, we're off back inside." And I was like, couldn't even get up, mate. I just could not physically
just
get myself
cannabis
up.
that then, you think?
Yeah, it was cannabis, but I don't know what it did to me. But I could not physically use my arms and legs to stand up properly. And I was getting proper frustrated that I couldn't stand up. I was sat outside for at least 45 minutes.
Why do we do these things to ourselves?
I don't know. I think I did it just like an
This is why I'm nervous to go on these trips. We've just got to keep his head. It's got to be professional. Maybe the last day send it if you want to before you go home and you're rough. But just I don't know. I need to find that balance, me, where I've got to remember that I've got to come back to my clients, and I've got to try and keep a level head.
Well, let's test it in Ibiza.
Yeah,
we'll test it.
That's why I need the missus there, mate.
We need some sort of forfeit, if anything.
Yeah, but we set these forfeits and we just don't fucking honour them, do we? We don't. So I think it has to be cash for us, mate. We're so tight. If there's some financial penalties, then I'll
okay. I think this is
it.
what we need to do. We need to put money in a pot first, right? Say 250 quid each in. There's 500 quid in that pot. If you fucking send it too far,
yes, but then you've got to dissect this, because what's sending it too far? You're going off time, you're going off quantity, you're going off type. You know what you're going off there? You're going off how rough you are next day. This is the problem for me. I don't even mind sending it. It's just I can't comprehend life the next day.
Yeah. I think I would judge if you've sent it too far is, when it gets to that point at night and you look at your mate and you can just tell there's not much going on there. You're just a bit like fucking...
Yeah.
Too much of something's of nothing. Yeah. I think if it gets to that point, you can look at each other and be like, You've sent it too far. That money's mine.
Yeah.
But then you're like, no, I fucking hadn't.
Yeah, that could cause.
No, I hadn't.
Yeah.
I've only had 3 scoops.
3 scoops.
Yeah, so maybe it would be hard to judge. We need something.
We can use Ibiza as that first testing trip, and I think Amsterdam's just Amsterdam, so I'm fairly confident that we can do that fairly well.
Plus, there's smoke shops in Ibiza now that are meant to be probably good. So,
is it fully legal out there then? Now is it a bit of a grey area still?
No, it's fully legal in smoke shops. On the streets, it's a no go. But I think maybe end of July we should do that.
Yeah.
End of July, like 27th, 28th, something like that, leading into August. What? Let's hit another topic whilst we're on 45-minute mark. Let's think what's popping right now.
I'm happy that Cass got a win. I know some people won't be too fussed about rugby league, but Cass beat Warren
Did they? Yeah?
and needed that win there. So I think the boys seem to play well and get stuck in, and Westy and Watson did well and got the win.
When are we getting Westy on the show?
I actually dropped on him at Barber's, so I won't give too much away because I don't want to. Fingers crossed we can get him on here, but I think once he's sorted a few things out, he were open to the idea, and I think a long form chat with him would be good to hear his side of the story because of what happened. It's a little bit crazy, and my only thing there is, as a friend to him, is does he want to revisit it and reopen it back up? But he seemed to be fairly open to doing that.
If he's anything like me, which I think he will be, I think he'll be happy to revisit it because he's done a similar thing to what I've done. Not in the thing that, you know, obviously what happened, I won't repeat it because there's no point, but he's kept his mouth shut all the way through it.
Yeah.
He's not spoken on social media about it. He's probably not told everyone he sees about it. He's probably just a little bit embarrassed, but his side of the story has not come out yet. Only what people have seen, what this girl might have said or what his ex might have said or whatever, and he's kept his mouth shut all the way through, which is a similar thing to what I did. I had shit going on at with my ex, and no matter what got put on social media or what got told to anybody and then ended up coming back to me like, oh, I've heard this, and I'm like, that's not what happened. But I've never outspoken about it. But when I get the chance to, same as what he's saying, I'll happily speak about it because I feel like people, and it's not even the fact that I'm trying to go, see, this is what really happened. It's just the fact that I'd rather go, after everything that you've read and heard, this is actually what really happened, and I feel like he'll want to do the exact same thing. So I think it'll be good for.
I think he'd be open to that.
Yeah, so we'll keep an ear out for that thing. That'll be good.
Talk me through. This is boring, but this is just where I'm at the minute. You got me into this Black Mirror. I'm a big fan of this show at the minute.
You liking it?
Yeah. Some of them are a bit weird, but I enjoyed that Scottish one.
Scottish one were fucking. One of my favourite ones. That one. Have you watched any of the older ones?
I've watched some older ones, but nothing really spring to mind. But let's just dig into that second episode there.
First of all, for people that don't know what Black Mirror is, it's on Netflix and it's just like a crazy show that it could happen in real life, but chances are it wouldn't. But if it did, it'd be fucking absolutely crazy and absurd.
Yeah, but I think the strength to the show is, if you're a thinker like me, you try and put yourself into the position of the people who are in the show.
Yeah.
So when you're watching that Scotland one there, and you've got that kid who's brought his girlfriend up to meet his mom, and just what's going on. I'm not going to ruin the story, but it makes you question. They do a good job, whoever directs and writes this, of keeping you hooked in all the way through, even if there doesn't seem to be a lot going on. They're really good at storytelling and making you follow on with the story. But what would you? I shouldn't laugh. How would you live if that happened to you? You know, if you've gone up there and you've heard all this story, but then the story actually comes out that it were your parents who did it.
I don't think I would. I think I'd probably have to join them.
What, you just knock yourself in?
I think so. But by watching that last scene when he stood there...
Well, that's what he was trying to portray, wasn't it? That he were on a high because he'd released this documentary and he had all the accolades, winning all the awards. He probably, with that comes money and fame and notoriety. But the fact of the matter is, his mum and dad were a fucking bare weirdos, weren't they? And just doing what they did. And it'd be the mum thing for me. The dad thing, I'm not saying I'd accept if he were like a fucking murderer, because that's the last thing you want.
It's the fact the mum were happy and getting into it.
The mum were the kink in it, wasn't she? And coming
she had
out
the
like,
mask.
and I think she was like doing all that fucking drill and that.
Yeah,
she was a sick individual.
She was the main killer, I think. And it made it worse because at the end of it, the guy who worked in the pub was like, it's belting round here now since that. And then the woman who actually directed the show was like, oh yes, no, thank you, we did. But then he just got no kudos for doing what he'd done, and he was just sat there crying. I think right then, I think my decision would be
blow my brains out.
Either that, or I'm going to do a fucking big ayahuasca ceremony. Enough shit's happened to me right now. If I fucking still feel like I want to die after that, I'm going to do it. If it fucking sorts me out and be like, no, there's more to life, fuck them guys off. They're obviously all fucked up. You've got the rest of your chapter to live. Then that's how I'd do it.
Yeah, it must be hard to live with that. I always think this with people, a lot of people who struggle around here. I think you can track it back to childhood trauma. You see this a lot with probably anyone who you know is notorious, right? Who's got a reputation or who's done certain things that might be a little bit fucking hell. That guy's a bit out there, or whether it be through violence, drug taking, the list can go on around here. I think if you were to really sit down with these people, they've probably been traumatized when they're younger, and their way of thinking is completely different to other people because they've been massively hurt and they struggle to then overcome that. Mm-hmm. And I think you can put that into a positive trajectory, or you can definitely put it into a negative one. And I think that when I read a lot of I'm trying to remember the guy's name now. I should be more onto this, but I can tell I've not been reading as much. You see it, that trauma from a youth, if you don't fix that trauma or go back to that, it will hold you back in some form, even if you don't know about it. Whether that just might be in the way you deal with matters, the way you communicate, drug use, just your way of thinking is definitely compromised when you don't go back to that childhood trauma and just at least accept it or try and resolve it.
There's a book that I read, the first ever book that I read, Vex King. He talks about the childhood trauma part of it. I don't know if you've read that. I've got a good relatable story, and I was talking to somebody about it today to do with not childhood, but to do with a bit of trauma that's changed somebody's. I'll tell you who it is now, and we'll just bleep his name out 'cause I don't know if it'll be comfortable. But he was talking about. But bear in mind he's probably 35, and he's talking about how fucking horny he is constantly, the crazy stuff that he's into sex wise, and I'm like, mate, mine's fucking pretty PG compared to yours. And he's like, no, I've done stuff that's that crazy. I have to get ambulances to come and pick me up. I'll ask to get choked out by a bird that I'm with. And I'm like, what the fuck's made you like that? Do you think have you watched or done something when you were a kid? And he went, you know what it is? When I was 17, I was seeing this bird who was 35. And she was the fucking craziest woman for shagging. Like, we'd be out shopping, she'd want to just shag at toilets. We'd be walking back to car in car park, she'd just bend over at toilet, bend over at car and make me do her there. And we're just telling me all these crazy stories. And like, since then, mate, I've just been fucked up with sex. It's proper messed me up. And I'm like, well, it's not a bad thing, really, is it? Some birds are into it, but obviously it's single now.
I'm definitely PG with stuff like
Bro,
that. I probably had a few rampages in my life, but not that crazy.
I think if I'm pissed up and I'm a bit fucking, I've probably dropped half a bluey or whatever. I could get a little bit freaky, but by a little bit freaky, it's just like
missionary.
Yeah, missionary. But you also pull a bit of hair whilst you're doing it. I don't know. That's as crazy as I get, to be honest.
I bet some blokes are fucking mad cunts. Do you think?
I think a lot of women, but the amount of women who would be scared of that compared to the women that'd enjoy it is so. The women that'd enjoy it must be 5%. Yeah, you've got to be fucking lucky to drop on someone who likes that sort of
Dumbledore.
Shit. Yeah, probably Dumbledore, and then maybe one or two others that I know. That's about it.
We need to get a Dumbledore poster.
Yeah, we do.
It's him who brought that up. What's he called? The New York kid, Andrew Schultz.
Yeah,
that's what he calls it, mate. The Dumbledore.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's where I learned that from.
He's a boy.
Because they were discussing Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, is it? And like to put up with that. You always think this with lads, to be able to put up with it. I don't know if lads sometimes just want an easy road, so they'll just be like, if there's any red flags, they'll just either accept it or just hope that it changes. But then his way of thinking is it's got to be some magic going on down there, you know, to keep around when she's shitting on your bed and whatnot. It's a big ask, innit? So just it's got to be special when you get stuck in.
I've definitely stayed with birds for that effect.
What,
before.
just to have got pure Dumbledore?
Yeah. But it's not that I'm like, oh, I can't do without that Dumbledore. It's like, I don't want anybody else experience what I've just experienced for it. Like that, I want that to be
I never
mine
thought
now.
about it like that.
Yeah. Especially, you know what's the worst thing is, mate? You know, like when, I don't know if you've done this, but I definitely have. When you first start seeing a bird and they suck you off.
Yeah.
Give you a BJ and they're not cracking. But then as the relationship goes on, you tell them a bit more about what you like and then they get good.
Yeah.
Then they master it.
All right.
And then you finish with them and you're like, fucking bitch, I've just trained her how to be a fucking professional.
That probably happens in all walks of life.
Yeah, but I don't like that.
Yeah, so she's walking.
I'm training her up for next man.
Yeah, but you've got to be spiritual there and be like, fucking hell, next bloke who gets that, it didn't work out for me, but he's got some he's got some skills coming his way, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose, mate. Also, shed a tear while you're congratulating them, but yeah.
Well, do you put a lot of emphasis on BJs then? Is that a big part of your sexual life?
I mean, because the sex I can control, I can sort of do what I want to. I can do what I enjoy, and then hopefully they'll enjoy it as well. Same with kissing.
Are you a BJ at the front end, or do you want the BJ at the back end? Front end, come on.
I like to start and finish with it.
Do you?
Yeah. I get so much jip off Emily for it.
Nah, mine's a simple process, mine.
Yours is start with it, then let's do the business.
Yeah, let's get to work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose. But once I start with it, I struggle to want to move on. I'm like, nah, just carry on.
Yeah,
that's
not my game.
I got some shit off Emily for it. Literally, that's why we pretty much nearly broke. It's not why we broke.
Yeah,
up,
but I can understand the point of view there. So she's doing that to get you in the mood to start with, and it's maybe a bit reciprocal.
But
then So what I'll ask you, if we've been personal now, you can dive into as much as you want. Have you been reciprocal with the
100%?
All right, so
way more, in fact.
So you've been way more reciprocal on the front end. Then you get into work. That then just get to work, then, innit?
Then I get to work, but then I also like to finish whilst not grafting. You know what I mean?
Nah.
Yeah, I don't like.
When
to
you want
graft.
vinegar stroke, you want to just fucking pull it out and just fucking.
No, I never pull it out either. So
Raked at buffers.
straight up to lung, pretty much. So yeah, we argued because she's like, you never want to finish when we're having sex. I'm like, I've just fucking done it twice this weekend already. This is just this one time. I'm saying I can't be arsed shagging. Right
I've
now,
never had a bicker post sex, mate. I think are you a bicker post sex?
It were only bicker post sex because I didn't come.
All right.
So it were a little bit, and I wasn't even asked. I just laid down. She's like, "What's up with you? Are you in the mood?" I was like, "No, I'm just a bit pissed that I've just grafted for 45 minutes and didn't finish."
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. Which obviously then.
When I was younger, that was my goal, not to.
Really.
I want to try and build myself up to like.
But that's what I do.
I've had some weird ones where it's like fucking 2.5 shoves and it's just fucking game over.
Never done that, mate.
Haven't you?
Never ever.
Have you never built yourself up that much where it's just like 2.5 shoves and fucking that's all she wrote?
No, but I have been at points where the foreplay has been too long. Or have you ever had that where you're kissing a girl and you can just you get like pre-cum? Maybe not so much now, but when I was younger, we used to pre-cum loads.
I don't think we're kissing. Maybe I have when I was younger, but just I get what you're talking about with blowjob thing. Like.
And you've just had hard on for too long, and then as soon as you get it in, it just feels like fucking silk, like warmed up, slippery silk.
There's no for that. Is that it's a fucking bad tent. I bet some blokes struggle with that. You just all time.
Yeah. Well, it must be a big thing. Do you not see all these adverts? Are like, do you finish too soon? Like,
I know if it's psychological, mate.
Big time, bro. Because this weekend,
you go into it and breathe and fucking steady away. I think it's like when you're a bit young, you're like holding your breath and just fucking going as hard as possible.
Yeah, I had an issue this weekend, me.
Go on.
Sex drive's feeling a bit low. Very, very worked up with what we've been doing and like focusing on work more, working till like midnight on Saturday night, just doing stuff on agency stuff. So then when it comes around to the business, I like if it happens organically and we start kissing him, but Emily's like,
planning out.
come on, should we go and have sex?
Yeah,
like,
a bit planned out. I'm not
okay. Then pressure hits me then because I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I'm fucking not really turned on. I'm going to struggle. Then I still managed to do the business, but not get far enough for me to finish. And then she's like, oh, do you not fancy me? You're not attracted to me? I'm like, no, I am. It's just that I'm fucking not in the mood for it right now. And I'm just thinking, I hope this is not old age getting to me. I hope it's just stress. So
probably a mixture of both. And if you're thinking about it as well, it's in your mind then, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm like that. I don't want to plan it out, mate.
no.
I think sometimes it's a bit too formal, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bit too. But I think now I found with my schedule, and when I talk about this sleep schedule on a night, because you can be so distracted now, you do sometimes miss out on that connection. So like if I'm editing a video, then I feel like I want a little bit of downtime on a night to either study, read, watch a bit of content so I can sort of get my creative flow going. You're not going to bed at a certain time, and I think that's what I've got to get back to. Once you have got a bit of an evening routine, it might be just doing a plunge, a steam, a shower, just getting cleaned up properly, and then going and laying in bed, then it might unfold a bit better. That I just think now people are a little bit disjointed through technology, that it's easy to be thinking of something else, or to be able to be present and switch on with your lady. It's wrong of us to do that, but that's just how I feel a little bit sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're giving them almost a back seat because you're thinking and focused on something else, and it's you're seeing it there as more transaction. Like fucking, I've got to do it. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't be like that, really, should it?
Exactly
It should be a bit more of a connection and a bit of some emotion attached to it. I think you can disconnect from that sometimes, especially if you're just thinking you want to put a good shift in.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is what it is.
I think women just want a little bit. Women want more affection and just focused time. I don't think it always has to be just knocking pony out of them.
But I'm one of these as well. I was happy to not finish. I was like, fuck it, I'm probably not going to do it. I'll start this off and I'll do a decent shift on down there first. Then I'll get to work. You can finish as many times as you like, and I'm not really that arsed. That's how it was this weekend.
Yeah.
Which it's fine, but then she obviously was like, well, do you not fancy me? And I'm like, obviously I do. It's just that I'm fucking not mentally right there right now. Yeah. But we'll be back next week.
It's weird because, boys, it's like, when I go back to, I don't really knock about too many lads now, but the lads speak about shagging a lot.
No.
They don't, do they?
No.
And I think girls do.
Do you think?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I think girls between their friendship groups speak about shagging a lot more than men speak about shagging.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Lads will probably like be more shallow, like, do you think she's fit? What do you think to her? But they're not really like breaking it down of what they're doing with a woman versus, I reckon, the first question in their friendship group, they're asking is, was he good? Size of it? Fucking what did you do? I bet it gets a bit more detailed and a bit more thorough.
But I feel like women have got more to talk about though. Size, stamina, how fast. What did you do leading up to it? Did you go on a date? What position? Like, where is it? What am I going to say to you? Decent pussy. That's it. Who did the graph? Like,
Yeah, but I don't think you even ask that, do you? Do you ask that?
No, you'd be like decent shag.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You don't need to know details really. But it's weird because when Emily's two friends stayed at mine the other week, the one where I had a bit of a bicker.
Yeah.
We were shagging that night, and I was paranoid because I thought I can't disrespect them when they're trying to sleep. It's like 12:30 1 morning, so I was being quiet, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't finish.
Yeah.
Then when I started speaking to them a couple of days later, she said I said, "Oh, did Dana hear us arguing?" She went, "Yeah. They said that they were going to have sex, but they didn't want to because they didn't want to disrespect you because it's your house. But then they heard us, so they thought, fuck it, we'll have one." But then they heard us arguing, so then they stopped, and I'm like, so it's weird that she actually asked if they had sex.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a funny story there. So when I were at university, 5 lads living in one house. It used to be a competition though. When we got birds around, who can make most noise. And I always remember with Ross Colbert, I don't mind calling him out here. For fucking 2 years, I called him Library Shagger. Because he used to always have birds around, but I just never used to fucking hear a peep out of the house. You know what I mean? I think he was putting in some good work in that, but
can't have been.
I just never heard it.
Maybe he taped the mouth up.
Do you think? Bit of gagging and shit. I don't know. He was a good bloke, him. I always think this when I look back. I had some quality friends when I lived in Wickham. But I'm so useless, me, at keeping in touch with people that it just sort of dispersed.
It's hard, mate. I struggle to keep in touch with people around here. They're good, like Jack and Brad.
Yeah.
Fucking two of my best mates, and I just like struggle to even keep in touch. And then like 5 days goes by, I'm like, fuck, I haven't spoke to them. But they've probably stopped reciprocating it because I'm not speaking to them. It's just
hard,
the fade out, don't
I tell you what would be a good trip. What's his boyo called on Instagram? We're both following that older gent who's the Cosmo. We'll find his name and we'll put it up.
Yeah, it's a silverback Tarzan.
Tarzan. I think we can go. I think we can definitely, with the right approach, go see him. I definitely want to meet him. I think he's going to blow up in me. I don't know how to see something in what he's doing. But then my rugby captain's down there in Brighton.
Oh shit!
I think we could make a trip of that.
Yeah, that could be good.
Tweeder, Tom Lemmer, so we could go down there and see Brighton. And I think it's meant to be a nice town/city. I don't mind getting stuck in there and seeing what's the crack. Because if I can see us with the channel going around and Fully Game does Brighton and just finding out what's cool in that city and using us as storytelling to really get in and see these places. That's something I want to do as well.
I watched a thing this morning about podcasts and how to improve and stuff. One of the main things was going on other podcasts.
Yeah.
That's one of the main things, networking. Because
that's an easy win for us.
These podcasts have already got only people who are interested in watching podcasts. So if you have an interesting speak on there and they like what you do, they're going to definitely go and check your shit out.
Yeah.
We need to do that. Then other things were just like...
So what's the attack there? Slow that down. So what's the attack there? Just start reaching out to some of these podcast hosts.
100%, yeah. I think see places like the Central Club, his podcast, that'd be good for us to go on, share his platform with him. He wants to come on here, but he's not got much free time at the moment. The one that Matt Holmes had been on, and that I said I knew the guy from Ibiza, they've got quite an interesting podcast. That'd be good. But yeah, I think it's just reaching out to people. And then other things that they were saying were keep your niche. They were like try not to be too broad on everyone. Try not to get all these different types of people because you'll find that you have spikes of views.
Yeah,
which
we have fighters on, didn't we, to start with?
Yeah, but I love fighting, but I don't necessarily want to just talk to fighters. I want to talk to everyone. I'd like to keep doing fighters 100%, but I also want to do OnlyFans creators. I want to do businessmen and women. I want to do people who've had fucking crazy life experiences. He even said, don't worry about if this person's got a big following and that you're going to try and extract their audience. Just get someone who's got a fucking crazy story and they're good at speaking and they're interesting. He said that's sometimes
that's what I liked about just looking back there when I really enjoyed the Zach Hardacre one.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I want to get Ben Kane on. There must be a ton of people just in that rugby league fraternity who've got crazy stories. So we'll figure it out. Like we've got to be understanding that we're 4 months into the game. We haven't been doing it 4 years, and
I wanted to actually count up before this podcast how many we've done. I think we must be pushing 40 now.
Have we? Some work that, mate.
Yeah.
Some work and hours that go into this. People don't always see it. So, what do you think is going to happen? We'll close on this because it's a bit of a selfish plug as well. Do you think the UK people will ever get behind Patreon?
No.
You don't think it'll be a work at all?
It's not necessarily the UK's like people's problem. Like, it's not their fault. I feel like the cost of living, interest rates and everything going up. I was speaking to my mate who I got the Rolex off a couple of years ago, Craig, on Saturday. I saw him at market. I said, how's business? He's got a nice watch shop. He's constantly got Rolexes and APs.
Where's this at?
This is just in Cass Market. He's got a nice shop there. And I said, how's business? He went, you know what, Ellis? 10 years ago, you used to be able to flip a quid in air and £10 would come down. Now you flip a quid up and fucking 10p comes down. It's shit. Cost of living's killed us all. Like, it's shocking. Everyone in this market's failing. And I'm like, fuck. So I don't think that, and I don't know what situation America are in for them tipping, but they've obviously got that tip culture, haven't they? So it's different. I don't think anybody's.
I think ours is going to then, with that being said, I think we'll still have a go at this Patreon, and fingers crossed some businesses get behind it, and if there's people who want to as well, fair play.
Yeah.
But
businesses,
it's going to be attracting brands in it. It's going to be attracting sponsors, and that can only come from us putting more content out there, building the viewership up there. If we've got an attention machine and people seem to like what we're talking about, then we probably get some connections there down the lines. But I just don't think we need to stress too much about monetizing it. No. Just focus on making quality podcasts, quality videos.
I don't really agree at the moment in Patreon as in trying to get individuals to do it to support us. I can see why people wouldn't want to do that, and all it's going to really do anyway is put it into getting better and bigger guests on and stuff. But for businesses with a Patreon, I 100%...
Can we push more of that then?
Yes, because it's a good investment for them, because if they're supporting us monthly, we're going to be giving them more than what they're paying for anyway, to give them back, like we're doing with JP Painters and Decorators. Is painting a studio for free. It might cost us a couple of £100, but we'll go there and we'll take enough videos and do enough promotion for him to make sure he earns way more than what that
that's
would
the
have
one
there. So as long as we're giving back to him, I think these businesses, it'd be a no-brainer for them, especially local ones, 100%. So let's close it off. I'm not going to do a hit subscribe kind of video, but
we do need people to do it.
We were looking at the statistics the other day, and literally like 12% of people that view our stuff are actually subscribed. So if you're watching this video right now, even if you haven't got a YouTube channel, just make one, hit subscribe. You can hit the notification bell so that whenever we upload a video or anything like that, it'll pop up and give you a notification so you don't miss anything, because I think that's a lot of thing. I think YouTube stopped pushing his channel as much because of the guests that we're getting on. But we don't want to get guests on that are not going to be entertaining to watch. So just make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, keep commenting and sharing and doing all that sort of shit, because I feel like even though we're entertaining you and you're enjoying watching it, I feel like you're watching it and then turning it straight off. So just to support the boys and get the channel growing, just make sure you hit all them criteria for us boys.
Happy?
Happy, mate.
Good man.
Life is beautiful, but you have to accept the good and the bad as being beautiful. You can't accept the good, oh, this is beautiful. Then we lose someone, oh, life sucks. Life is beautiful because life gave us the ability to just know them on our journey in life. We met them. We loved them. We cared about them. They cared about us. That's the purpose of life, just to enjoy what we had while we journeyed through it. Yeah, my pleasure, brother.
Yeah, that's my love.
Needed it.
We all do. Because sometimes we don't understand, like, what is this thing? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Why do I have to go through this pain? Why do I have to go through this fear all the time? Why can't it just be peaceful all the time? Then it wouldn't be life. You know, it wouldn't be life. We have to take life at its term, life on life terms, not life on our terms. You know, we have to live life on life terms.